for joining me tonight. This is our job search workshop. It's actually the part 3 of the job search workshop that we've been running over the last couple of weeks. The first week we started with a CV workshop where we looked at helping you create an amazing CV. Last week we talked about job search strategies and staying sane during the process. And tonight we're going to dive deep into LinkedIn, one of my favorite topics out there when it comes to careers and moving the dial on your job search. So for those that have just joined, this is being recorded. There's a Q&A spot up the top and I will answer all questions at the end. So let's kick off. So in terms of what we're going to cover off tonight, we are going to look at, apologies, I didn't realize that the word in there has just gone into a little bit of a dark color, but we're going to look at optimizing your profile and making it, really working hard for you when it comes to your job search. We're going to talk about posting content and what that can mean in terms of showing up on searching. We're going to talk about networking and building your audience. We're going to talk about thought leadership and pretty much focused on job search as well, but how you can use that to future-proof your career. We'll have some time for some Q&A, and then stay tuned at the end. I've got some birthday offers in regards to some of the new programs that we're running through Career Architect. So in terms of who am I and how am I qualified to run this workshop? So I run the Digital Talent Lab. It is a recruitment agency focusing on helping businesses build teams across digital, across marketing, across change and transformation. And I've been doing that for about 10 years. This year, I started the Career Architect with a particular focus on helping people combat ageism in their job search and to look at second half careers. As I said, turning 50 tomorrow has really ignited that passion for me, and I will soon be launching some more unique masterclasses around ageism in the job search. So if this is something you're facing, please feel free to sign up, send me a note on the Career Architect website, and I'll make sure that you're registered for those workshops as well. In terms of LinkedIn, I use it every single day. I'm on the platform. I use it for business development. I use it for talent acquisition. I've moved away from traditional job boards to a really big extent in my business. And so LinkedIn for me is that go-to platform when I am headhunting people. And let's face it, we headhunt at so many different levels nowadays. It's not just the realm of C-suites and senior leadership. So it makes sense that if I'm on LinkedIn and recruiters and hiring managers like me are on LinkedIn to look for people, it makes sense that you as a job seeker are there as well. It's definitely an underdeveloped platform from a job seeker's perspective as well. And there is so much information that you can get on LinkedIn. So let's jump straight into the first section, and that is optimizing your profile for your job search. Apologies, some of the pictures aren't coming clear, but I'll make sure that is all fixed when it comes to the recording as well. And so I just wanted to have a couple of examples here with the parts of LinkedIn that I'm going to be talking about. And when I say headline, I talk about the just underneath your name there, where you've got your job title and ways in which you can maximize that when it comes to your job search. This section here, which is blanked out on my screen, is your about section, but I will talk a little bit more about that and how you can leverage that to its best ability as well. And then the experience section is where you talk about and you note all the information around, your previous jobs. You can attach files and different media types. So there's lots of different ways in which you can be maximizing LinkedIn. I talk about ROI a lot because I'm a marketing recruiter, but I think that there's so much around ROI with your job search as well. We spoke about it with the CV workshop in a little bit when we talked about salary expectations and how you are showcasing your real value and how a business gets ROI from investing in you. And it's the same thing with LinkedIn. Are you making the most of what LinkedIn can be doing for you? And I dare say probably not. There's so much potential that people are overlooking when it comes to LinkedIn and making a change on their job search as well. So your CV, your LinkedIn should really complement your CV rather than replicate it. I like to think of it as a second CV, and think about when you are with the content that you're adding to your LinkedIn, that it should be for what you want to be found for. Are people able to find you for what it is you are going for, if that makes sense? Those key areas that I mentioned that add the most value to your LinkedIn is your headline. I think you've got about 200 characters which you can write in your headline. And as I actually showed on mine, I talk about the different job titles that I have because I'm targeting 2 different markets. If I was a recruiter looking for a new opportunity, I would be then saying, you know, I'm a digital marketing transformation recruiter who has interviewed more than 10,000 people in 10 years, something like that. I'm making the numbers up. But I would be talking about a big heavy hitting number that is going to make a difference to the person that's going to hire me. And the same in my about section, I would be including lots of results in terms of what I had achieved in that about section, where it's going to resonate with people who are reading my profile. So whether you're a recruiter, whether you're a marketing leader, whether you're a change manager, whether you're an accountant, every part of your LinkedIn should be optimized with those results that you've got reflected in your CV as well. I talk about numbers. I can't get away from a workshop without talking about numbers, but it is so critical to making a difference in your job search. So each of these sections should have maximum amounts of information in there. Make the most of the characters that you have. The about section, I think, is probably very underutilized. People don't write a lot in there, but also in the experience section, it should be almost like a CV. And I'm going to show you a slide in a minute that shows what it looks like when people download it. And that is, it's very different to what you would expect. So it is worth remembering that if you are going to write a lot in the about section of your LinkedIn profile, when someone downloads it, and have a look, download it yourself, I've obviously downloaded mine, then the summary takes up a fair portion of that PDF that gets downloaded. So often we use this quite a lot when it comes to putting people forward, obviously with their permission. I've used a lot of LinkedIn profiles to submit to clients. So this is what it would look like if you have a lot of information in that about section. For me, for example, having a lot of information in there because I use it for business development, you might want to strike a balance between having enough information in your about section, but not too much so that we're able to get to your experience on that first page, just as we do like to see in CVs as well. So the same rule of thought applies to your LinkedIn as it does to CVs. But just think about getting a couple of good paragraphs in that about section that hit right. You can change this all the time. I changed mine. I changed it today in preparation for this webinar, but you could change in your LinkedIn profile and optimizing it depending on the different stages that you're at. So when you're in job search mode, remember thinking about that title needs to be searchable and making you found for the right opportunity. The summary in the about section, it's the same thing. It just comes as a summary when you download it. That should be including some key achievements that you've done and where you've done, you know, the best work or the most relatable work to any of the roles that you're applying for. And the experience section needs to have more than just your job title and the amount of time that you were there. So make the most of it. Top things to consider when it comes to your profile is, are you getting found for the roles that you want to be found for? That's the biggest thing that I think you could take away from tonight's webinar, is that if you're thinking of a change or a promotion or something different, that your LinkedIn needs to reflect that. And it can probably do it in better ways than what your CV can. Think about what's searchable for your headline, and it might even be worthwhile doing some research on there. What jobs are being advertised? What do you call yourself? And is there alignment with that, with what you want to apply for as well, and what you want people to come and knock on your door for? The about section, you can use that maximum space available, but as I said, just be aware of what it looks like in a download, but focus on the results. Even if you wrote one sentence that had an absolute kick-ass result in there, I think that would add tremendous value. And think about how your LinkedIn profile should complement your CV rather than copy it and results are in here as well. So even in that experience section, there should be some numbers, some results, something that is the wow factor, and wanting a talent acquisition person, a recruiter, a hiring manager to actually send you a LinkedIn connection request with saying, hey, I'd love to have a chat to you. So make sure it's adding impact. I talk about content creation quite a lot, and I get asked a lot of questions around it and its ability to help people turn up in searches. LinkedIn has changed. I've been using LinkedIn for about 10 years now professionally, and it has definitely changed a lot over those 10 years as more people use it, as more people use it as a platform for finding new talent or a business development tool. It has definitely changed. The algorithm is constantly changing and challenging us that use it for content creation for a business development perspective. And I don't think anyone is really going to go viral with the content that they're creating. But I do think it adds a nice alternative to just relying on job boards or just relying on your CV. You can add a fair amount of value to your job search with creating content without it being a full-time job. So let's look at some ways in which you can get creative with the content without it being arduous and so time consuming, because it can be. You can fall down a LinkedIn rabbit hole, trust me. So I think about it being content that is efficient to create and to post, but effective in hitting your target audience. So making the most of AI is huge when it comes to platforms like LinkedIn. There might be other social channels that make sense in your space as well. I'm looking at TikTok and Instagram from a BD perspective for my recruitment business, because that's where a lot of people hang out that are in that digital space. But when it comes to LinkedIn, making the most of AI, ChatGPT is my best mate and does a lot of the support work for me. I use it to create, I've got a master schedule for my content creation that was all generated by ChatGPT. And it is a really good way of knowing what you're posting at any one point. I can go on to that schedule and go, it's Tuesday, the 2nd of July. What am I posting today? I do batch content. But I'll batch post my content, but I'll talk about that in a second. But in any time, I can look at, okay, I know what's coming up over the next month, or there's some gaps in it, or I need further content to develop. It's a really good way of just having AI generate that for you. Another great way of sharing content efficiently is to reshare other people's content. For most people that are in a job search phase, I would be thinking you post maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And one of the best ways is to repurpose content from other people, particularly if you're thinking about a job change or a career change. You could repurpose the content from thought leaders within another industry that you're trying to get into, with hiring managers for businesses that you'd love to be working at, and always repurpose it and reshare it with your thoughts and comments as well. So it could be content that you find really engaging and right up your alley, or it could be actually something that you wholeheartedly disagree with, and you could be resharing it for a little bit of a controversy play, if you will, where you're just thinking about, this is something that is against what I believe in, or is the opposite of what I would do. So there's lots of different avenues in which you can reshare content with your own thoughts around it as well. But just remember about what's the purpose of the content that you're sharing. Is it for finding your next opportunity? Then I would be making all of that content around what that next opportunity is, not around the actual job search itself. But let's say you're wanting to get into marketing. I would be making all of my content around digital marketing, or whichever kind of marketing you want to do. If you want to get into finance, and I would be sharing lots of content from finance leaders, interest rate rises, all of that. There's so much out there that you can easily select. You can search on content as well. You can search on posts. So you just want to see what is being posted in the last 24 hours from my first degree connections in finance. You can search all of that. I batch post on a Sunday afternoon, especially in this sort of weather. There's nothing better than sitting down and getting all of my LinkedIn content for the week ahead posted. You can schedule posts in LinkedIn. It's really easy to do. There's a few quirks with it. You can't go in and edit it. You've got to delete and redo it if you want to make any changes. But it is a great way if you've got some imposter syndrome, or you're stuck at what I call procrastination station with any of your content. put it through, get AI to generate what that content schedule could look like and even some of the ideas for it. Sit down 20 minutes on a Sunday, batch post the whole week ahead, set it and forget it. And there's nothing else that you really need to do when it comes to the sort of content posting that I'd be recommending for your job search. In terms of the best things that I think you should consider when it comes to creating content on LinkedIn is, as I said, making the most of AI. ChatGPT has been really cool. It's also a good way of practicing on AI tools and practicing on the platform like ChatGPT, right? Because it has gotten to know me so well. It knows the tone of voice. I've got, I don't know, 15 different chats that I'm running with it at the moment. And I've really enjoyed getting used to AI. I haven't gone into any of the mid-journey image creators and things like that. I know they can send out some really warped and funny images. So I haven't gone down the path of any of the AI image creators, but definitely from a content perspective, you can effectively use AI and still sound like yourself. Have a mix of created and curated content. It's the easiest way to post, and it makes the most of other people's work and your own thoughts. I do recommend, even though I did say just to set and forget, LinkedIn does like it when you're on the platform and engaging. It boosts posts when you're on there for some time around when you would be posting. I don't think it's a be all and end all anymore because people just aren't seeing the viral numbers that they used to anyway. But I do also like it if you're expecting others to see your content and engage with it, then you have to do a little bit of that yourself. And if it's something that you enjoy, it can be a good way of building your network as well. And said, set it and forget it. Don't worry about impost. I know sometimes when I've gone to post something and I'm not sure if it's actually being posted on a Sunday afternoon and I haven't even thought about it, then, you know, there's no imposter syndrome, right? And we shouldn't be feeling like that. It's LinkedIn. It's your own opinion and it's your voice. So get rid of that imposter syndrome. So I look at so many LinkedIn profiles. As I said, it's my major source of hiring and finding people rather than traditional job boards. But the majority of people that I see haven't optimized their LinkedIn to the best of its ability, and it's not doing the heavy lifting that they need. So in terms of building your network and how to utilize your network to the best of its ability, it is definitely about connecting. I do see a lot of people that have got really few connections on LinkedIn. And I think if you're in any of the spaces, certainly that I'm recruiting, but I think for a lot of other industry sectors, having a broad network is only going to be in your favor. So I would definitely start connecting, but keep it strategic at this stage when you're in your job search, but even throughout your career, keep it a nice clean group of, nice clean connection list. Think about it strategically and who you want to be connected to, whether that be peers, whether that be hiring managers, whether that's people in a new industry. You can add, if you've got a paid LinkedIn account, you can add about 100 connections each week, which is a lot. It is hard to get to that number. LinkedIn always gives you a warning anyway if you're just connecting willy-nilly, and I wouldn't recommend that you do that. As I said, I'd be really strategic around who you're connecting with. Don't be afraid to ask for introductions too. I don't see this happen very often actually in my network, and I don't know all 9,500 people that I'm connected to, but if I do know them and you want an introduction, I will make that intro, and if I'm not comfortable doing it, I will tell you. So don't be afraid to look at any mutual connections and say, I wonder if person A can introduce me to person B, explain to them why you want the introduction, and, just ask. Most people will be more than happy to help. When it comes to connection request messages, it's about 50-50 as to whether or not it makes a difference if you send a message or not. I probably tend not to send messages unless it's some specific instances. So if I want to, I've been headhunting an SEO executive today. If anyone knows anyone, 1 to 2 years worth of experience, let me know. But I would then reach out with a specific message as to why I was getting in touch with them and why I was connecting. And then I usually then see a good response rate to both the connection request and the question that I ask in that message. If I was targeting, say, someone from a business development perspective, I usually connect and then I follow up with a voice note once we are first degree connections. I'll touch on that really quickly in a second. But if you were, say, looking at a role that you'd seen advertised, you're approaching the hiring manager for it, I would include a message, but I would get straight to the point. You know, people are time poor. Make the most. I think it's only 300 characters that you get anyway. So making the most of, here's why I'm reaching out. I noticed that you're looking for X. I did something similar at Westpac. I can do this for you at CBA as well. So just be really straight to the point, and a personalized message, I think, is the way to go. I don't use, if you've got a paid version, you can use emails. I don't have as much success with emails. I do use them, but my biggest success rate is connecting with people. I then leave a voice note. So you can leave voice notes for first degree connections on your mobile only. You can't do it on the desktop version. But if you're connected with someone, you'll see down the bottom, if you send them a message, it comes up now with that AI generated message up front. Get rid of that. And then you press the microphone and you can actually send them a voice note. You've got a minute to talk about why it is you've connected. And actually, I've seen pretty good results from that. So if I send 10 voice notes, I probably get 3 or 4 people coming back to me and saying they'd like to hear more. And certainly it helps with the next engagement when I'm talking to that person as well. I reference that voice note. So you'll see on LinkedIn, often people say, LinkedIn helped me get this job, and you can definitely use it to help you get your next opportunity as well. So as I mentioned at the beginning, recruiters, more so external recruiters, but also talent acquisition teams are going beyond those traditional job boards like LinkedIn, job boards, and Seek as well, because the return on investment on those ads just isn't what it used to be. So there is a mix of advertising and headhunting, and if you're in the right time at the right place, you know, you could be connecting directly. I've always said this, that recruiters are just one avenue of where you can find your next opportunity. Imagine if you're going straight to a hiring manager, you've got him or her at the right point of time, and you get that role. You've saved them thousands in recruitment fees. So I might sound like I'm shooting myself in the foot there, but as I said, I'm only one channel in which can help you find your next opportunity, and you can't expect people to come knocking on your door if they don't know where to find you or what you do. So making sure that your LinkedIn is helping you be found. So when it comes to networking, here are my top tips around it. Don't be afraid to ask for introductions, because there's nothing better than, it's almost like a reference, right? A referral. So ask and you shall receive most of the time. If you're going to include a message, make sure that it is well tailored to the person that you are sending it to. Don't be afraid to go direct. Even if you are going to an opportunity through a recruiter or through an internal talent team, I would be connecting with that hiring manager well before I was interviewing. As soon as I know who they were, I would be sending them a connection request, a little message. You know, I'm in the mix for the, head of marketing role. I look forward to meeting you next week, because nobody else is going to do that until after the interview. And then so you've instantly become top of the pile because they know you already. You might even share some content with them. You might engage with some content if they're sharing stuff on LinkedIn. So there's so many ways using LinkedIn, and your network can rise you to the top well before you've even interviewed with a business. And certainly goes without saying, if you're not doing it before an interview, I would be connecting after, even if it wasn't successful. And think about the purpose of why you're engaging with people. Is it because you're looking for a new role? Is it that you want to be showing up as a thought leader? And that's what we're going to talk about in this next section, is thought leadership and where it can really be adding some impact once you've found a good job. But I also want to touch on where it can add value for if you're looking at doing a career change or a significant career shift. Thought leadership can play a really important part around that. So of course it helps you build your reputation online, and it gets a better understanding of your niche and what you do when you're developing content and posting around things that you know really well. Some of the best content that I see, and this might just be how my brain works, but if someone has taken a huge white paper or some really hard hitting or heavy insightful trends within a particular industry that would probably take me more time to read because I'd have to Google everything. If someone came to me and said, I just went to this webinar on the new recruitment trends and gave it to me in a one-pager with lots of bullet points and pictures, I'd be like, thank you very much. I love that. So just think about ways in which you can talk about different things on LinkedIn and saving people time, giving them information. It certainly helps to establish that authority when you're showing up. If you think about any of my content that you've seen, I think that I've taken a lot of time to create some really engaging content. And I hope that that makes me show up as someone who really knows what she's talking about when it comes to recruitment and careers. There is opportunity, of course, to speak online in different LinkedIn webinars. You might even want to hold your own LinkedIn Live to help establish that authority as well. It's also a great way when you're talking about the content that you can post from a thought leadership perspective of showing the impact that you've had in current roles. So you're not necessarily ready to be applying for roles. You're not sending your CV out there to the world, but you can use LinkedIn to talk about different achievements and accomplishments that you've had in your current role. And I think about it when it comes to being promotable in your existing business. If there are roles that you're going or that you want to be taken into consideration for in your current business, showing up online is meaning that you're the first name that everyone thinks of, including your current business. So if there's a chance they're going out to market for a CMO role and you're the one that is coming up online, you're the one that is perceived as the biggest expert in that space, guess who's getting that promotion? They're not going external for it. I spoke quickly about this, that when you think about thought leadership and ways it can impact, if you're going for a different opportunity, let's say I've worked with someone over the last couple of weeks that had a successful marketing career and wanted to move into change management. And this showing up online and being seen as a real thought leader in the change space really helped. They've now been able to get their first change role, or first official change role, which is really exciting. But making the most of LinkedIn to show up as an authority in that space. If you are, she obviously had a lot of experience within change in her marketing roles. And so she was able to talk about different aspects of change management. She was able to use keywords in her LinkedIn profile to show up as a change person, not just as a marketing person. So being able to make significant shifts no matter what the industry is, when you've got those transferable skills that you want to be able to showcasing, LinkedIn, posting content and sharing your thoughts and opinions can be a really helpful way of moving into different role, different segment, different industry, and certainly more senior roles. So thinking about becoming a thought leader is building your reputation online, being found as a leader in your space, but also making that jump into new roles and new industry sectors that perhaps your CV wouldn't get cut through with. So it's a combination of making the most of your LinkedIn and having it reflect what it is you want to do in your future opportunities. Definitely future-proofing, thinking about what is your next step? What are those bigger leadership roles that you want to be going for? And could you be setting up your LinkedIn now to really add some value to those future roles? So let's talk about the next step. This is the last in our 3-session series on your job search. And so what I am relaunching with Career Architect is my one-on-one coaching is the most common way that people work with me. They're tailored career sessions. You can buy 1 hour, you can buy 5 hours. There's all different packages available, and we cover everything from looking at your CV and making sure that is really targeted, and really, if you have trouble articulating those results, you will come away from a session knowing 100% what your numbers are, and you'll be able to utilize that in interviews as well. So when you get asked, when those big questions come in interviews, you will have your numbers at the ready. I can guarantee it. We can talk about what your next step would look like. I've been working with a senior executive in terms of what her next step would look like, and a bigger role for her in a senior transformation space. But it can be really tailored to you and what you want. All starts with a 15-minute strategy call, and we can talk about how we can potentially work together. And of course, the new program that we're offering, it's our Job Search Masterclass. It is newly launched. It is 3 weeks. 6 modules, and also a weekly Q&A. So how it's all self-paced learning. You get 2 modules a week, and you can join me for that Q&A session each and every week and ask any question for any module that you're currently working on. So there'll be people doing the CV review sessions, there'll be people at interview prep stage, but we all come together once a week to talk about, any of the challenges that you face, any questions that you've got. There will be some tasks to do in each of the sessions. They're very interactive for you, and I know that they will help you find your next opportunity and certainly move the dial for you. Normally that is $397 including GST, but because of my 50th birthday tomorrow, 50 for $50 off, $347 including GST. Valid till the end of July. So if that's something you would like to sign up for, you can find all of the information at the Career Architect website. You can fill in a contact form and I will get back to you and organise that session. I can send you a link to book in a Calendly 15-minute strategy call if you'd like as well, but plenty of ways in which we can work together to help with your job search. And just before I get to the Q&A, I will be, as I said at the very beginning of tonight's webinar, I've got a huge interest around ageism and how it's impacting people's job search. So I will be looking to run some more specific webinars and some paid coaching sessions on ageism and how we can combat that. So please send me an information request on the website or send me a message on LinkedIn, however you like, Homing Pigeon, and I will make sure that you're included in that. So if you've got any questions, aside from wishing me a happy birthday, thanks, Melanie, if you've got any questions around what we spoke about tonight, drop them into the Q&A section here on the webinar and I can get to them quickly. If not, all good. Thank you. I know there's plenty of people that I feel like there's everyone around me that is older than I am in terms of my family and my friend group. So thank you for those birthday wishes. That is really lovely. Hopefully you'll take up on the offer to join our job search masterclass. I'm really excited as to the difference it can make for people. Yeah, I can do. So someone's just asked if I can do a quick critique of their LinkedIn. It's a cheeky ask. If you send it to, I will do it for you. So I'm not sharing people's names on here because I don't know how many people are open about their job search, but yes, I will do a quick critique of your LinkedIn, no problem. Can you speak a little bit more about how your LinkedIn should complement your resume? Absolutely. So in terms of making the most of the space, I think about the content that's in your CV. Could you be adding more? So you don't want to have a CV that's 5 or 6 pages long for most people. So you could use LinkedIn and the experience section of your LinkedIn to add more information about what you did. Or it could be that there's a really big achievement. What was the biggest thing that you did in your last couple of roles, and making sure they're reflected again in your LinkedIn. But it could also be a different tone that you use in the about section. It could be different wording. I wouldn't have it verbatim like for like from your CV to your LinkedIn or your resume to your LinkedIn. Make the most of the space, have different achievements that are in there and different ways of talking about what you do. We're still hitting those keywords because most recruiters will go on and job search check things as well. I will come back to you on that LinkedIn profile review. So you have to ask for things. People will do them, right? If you don't know, I don't want everyone to ask for one. But yeah, you got to ask and people will do, I think. So if there are no more questions, I will let everyone head off and enjoy their evening or morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for joining me over these last couple of weeks. As usual, the link will be shared by the end of the week to the recording of this webinar. If you've got any questions around the programs that we're offering on Career Architect, please feel free to drop me a note on LinkedIn. I'm on there all the time. And yeah, we can help move the dial on your job search. So let's help you get that career of your dreams. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.